All right. So here it is, my research project, lighting. So there are a few parts to this system that I created. My ultimate goal is to have, which I have achieved, which is lights, individual light objects that you can add to your scene and objects that act similar to sprites almost, in that they aren't full on different objects. That they aren't ubbles. They are not a light ubble. They are a light object, but you can attach them to other things and use them in the scene. So there was quite a bit that went into that. Obviously, you need the individual lights and the information that they contain. So you have directional, spot, and point lights. Those are the three types that I have included. And you can have, theoretically, as many as you want. Obviously, shader dependent. The shaders need to be hard-coded with a number of lights in the scene, so you can never go above that specific amount. Deferred rendering can help with that to a certain degree, where you can technically have more than you would be able to, but I was not able to get deferred rendering working by the time that this was due. Very unfortunate. Moving on. So, there's also a light manager, which has been a new manager added to every single scene. There are a few discrepancies that I'll be going into shortly that differentiate it from regular managers. Next, there is the graphics object. I had to create a new graphics object to account for the new light manager and adding lights to the scene, adding these individual light objects. And lastly, shaders. I have a demo shader. It's just a regular old shader. Other people should be able to, however, plug their own shaders in this, and it should work with those shaders. I mean, as long as they're using a very standard set of information for your lights, it'll work. Okay. So, let's start off with the manager. Light manager. So the light manager acts similar to other managers, except for one key difference, and that is when it is called. The light manager is not called during update. Instead, its parameters are needed elsewhere, and the time when it is called is in the graphics object. So I guess really I should be starting with the graphics object. You use this graphics object. It takes in model, shader, and textures just like the other graphics objects. And this beginning area is very similar. It sets it all up just like the other stuff. The difference comes in setting the data to the GPU. So here you can see it'll call, after it sends the generic data of the model, it'll ask for the thing to calculate the light. The scene manager. Scene manager will go to the scene instance. Scene instance will go to the light manager and run its process elements. The light manager will run through, and here's so in this instance, 16, 16. So it keeps track of the individual numbers of lights in each thing. So it keeps track of point light versus spotlight counts, and then directional light, there is only one in the scene. So point lights, or so directional lights, it'll always overwrite the directional light, but it'll call their submit data. Also, they are all based off of the light object, which actually, I have this lovely class diagram right here, where it basically shows the whole thing off. So all of these are directed by lights. A light is a game object, so it gets added to the scene just like other game objects. It is managed by the manager, and this is the graphics object texture light. The light manager is obviously owned by the scene. Scene is owned by scene manager. Scene manager is owned by the engine. Sorry, didn't mean to ramble like that. Is this still picking up my audio? It is. Okay, good. I'm paranoid. So anyways, it'll calculate the lights of every object in the scene. Or it'll calculate the lights for every light in the scene. Just like every other light, or just like all the other shaders. So now let's just take a quick look. Here's the light CPP. So it'll give itself a generic thing if you start it off. Regular lights don't do anything and are not actually called when the shader or when the graphics object is updating its data. Directional light. Most basic one, has all the information of a light, which I completely forgot to mention. The light has this information. So registration stuff, standard, and then the ASD, the ambient, the diffuse, and the specular, and then a position and a color. All lights come with a position. That's just for convenience, really. Directional lights just adds a direction and sends the direction along instead of the position. You can see here. So the submit datas are virtual, or yeah, they're overrides, and so they send different data. Next up is the point light. Point light has attenuation and range. And here's the point lights. So the point light, because there's multiple of them, it needs to be told which one it's pointing at. And that's where the counts from before come in. The counting of the item, yeah, it goes through, so it'll give it the right one. That one took me a while. Last one is spotlight, attenuation, range, direction, and the exponent. So here's that data updated. Spotlight. Alright, so the light manager, yeah, that's really about it. On death, it'll do storage clear, so it'll delete all of the data that it has. And here is a quick view of the shader. Here's the vertex shader and the fragment shader. This will look very familiar to you because this is basically the same stuff. It's all the same math from graphics. Now let's take a look in the intro scene. For the actual lights. So here I've set the light data and then I've added the spotlight. In this case, the spotlight changes direction. Here's the intro scene. This one has 4 lights. And a directional. And here the data is set. And the objects are, and the lights are set, and it runs. So let's just demo that real quick again. Sorry about that, by the way. I tried to flip it around, and it must have been the thing that I used to convert it to a TGA. Flipped it around. I couldn't get it correct the right way. Still think it looks pretty nice, especially for something. I don't know. I'm not a graphic designer. Yeah, so there's that spotlight moving around. Oh, I keep missing. Come on. There you go. Alright. So, that, I believe, just about does it. That is my engine. That is all the new stuff. I believe that I have covered just about everything. My terrain, my new collision system. I mean, I guess I could go over real quick. You know what? No, it's been a while. My collision system, yes, you saw it. You could see the visualizer bringing things up when it's relevant. Like my visualizer here. I'll even do it again real quick. Just right quick. So I'm gonna enter this. As you can see, now those are appearing. I'm not actually hitting it because I'm going under it because of my, I'm sticking to the train distance. But as you can see, I hit the brick, or I hit the ball, and I died while I wasn't paying attention. Fantastic. Anyways, yeah. That's all I've got. That's my engine. Thank you for watching, and have a good summer.